What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. We got ourselves a victory show, baby. Holy, hey-oh.
Thank
The
God.
bad mojo, okay? And the bad aura around Decilio. Lord Decilio could not stop this victory from happening, all right? The force, the negative force that is Decilio could not stop this one either, all right? So yes, finally, like a nice win to talk about. We will talk about the victory. A lot of mixed feelings still when you see a 4-1 scoreline. Would surprise many that there's mixed feelings, but there is, and actually rightfully so in my opinion. But we're gonna tackle this with Luca and Trim as well. Fellas, how you doing? Trim, how you doing?
Oh, good, man. Good. I'm not going to go too crazy. Obviously, we're excited about the win in the sense that, it's 3 points we needed, but definitely not going to get too far ahead of myself.
At least we got some nice goals. We got some nice goals to talk about. We got something to talk about. All right?
Exactly.
We'll tackle it. Luca, how you doing, brother?
Listen, I know it's Monday. I usually hate Mondays, but hey, we got to win. I don't care how it happened. Yeah. I have a smile on my face. That's all.
And in light of the evil Lord Decilio, as you see here. Great to see everybody in the chat as well. And I do agree with Ori here. Everyone in the chat, in the light of victory, let's get those likes up. Let's get those likes up, all right? What else do we got? The Winter Legend, Kolo Muani. Ah, the Winter Legend, like a story from Game of Thrones. The Winter Legend of Kolo Muani. We will talk about our boy who's off to a red hot start, and he finds himself in the news with some apparent rumors that there could be an agreement, and there quite possibly may not be anything there at all about maybe Kolo Muani coming one way and Dusan Vlahovic going the other. And we did hear about PSG's interest in Vlahovic being one of the sides. We're hearing there's actually several sources out of Spain talking about Barca being an option once Lua leaves. Who knows where the heck and what the heck's going to happen here. But these are the rumors. Other rumors, Fagioli, Marseille, and Fiorentina there, but it is being rumored that Marseille has other options they're also looking at. We are right down to the wire. Let's see what happens. They're also stating that Fiorentina has opened up to and is ready to go in for the obligation to purchase Nicolo Fagioli. Now, real quick, because I've seen this put out there, I saw this kind of go underneath some of these posts, and somebody said, I'm a big fan of his, but you know what? It is the right move, and his benching is even justifiable. Real quick, let's just machine gun this one out. Is Fagioli's benching justifiable for you, Luca?
At first, yes. With time now, I wouldn't mind seeing him come back and get a little bit more opportunity.
That's fair. Trim, justifiable?
No, I haven't seen enough of them.
Yeah. I just think nobody out of a couple guys is really pulling away from not getting him the opportunities. So it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. There's a couple guys that haven't pulled away, but yesterday we saw one of those guys do much better, and we'll get into that, okay? Because their starting lineup for this game, as we're gonna rip through Juve and Empoli: Di Gregorio, Weah, Gatti, Veiga making his, and I just love that name. I hope he does well, man. Veiga reminds me of that sweet character from Street Fighter, man. Savona, okay? Then you got Locatelli. And this is the thing. It was Locatelli, McKennie. Then you had Gonzalez, Coat Miners, Yildiz with Kolo Muani up top. And that's how it was listed, all right? But what we ended up seeing was Coat Miners actually being the one next to Locatelli and McKennie being advanced. And this was actually key for a couple of different reasons in the game. And we will, of course, get into that, okay? Let's talk about this. Let's get this out of the way. And props to Locatelli, who clipped my watch along, clipped my pain for everybody to witness, because when you get up at 3:30 in the morning, the last damn thing you want to see is inside of 5 minutes at home to Empoli and DeCilio, holy,
On a
DeCilio giving them the lead. I legit was hoping that I hadn't actually woken up and that this was just like a horrible nightmare and then I'm going to wake up and actually watch the game. But no, this legit went down. All right. So you could see the coverage here. I'm surprised this ball even gets right across the edge of the 6-yard box across with all these bodies there. Nonetheless, it does. People were kind of a little bit saying, like, why is he standing back post wide open there? You could see we have nobody on the posts. But Colt Miners is kind of, it's like, was he protecting back post? Was he supposed to man up? Like, he's kind of caught in between. In the end, he can't even get in front of it despite being right there. And then we have the questions around offside and the player in Di Gregorio's line of sight. When you look at this play from a couple different angles, it looks different. Like this photo, this would be something that Juve would be immediately, the goal would be nullified and we would get a big fat day and say, no, you could start again at 0-0. When you watch the goal from behind Di Gregorio, the guy's actually like not really affecting line of sight or anything really. Like it's a lot less involvement. And I think he was also, the player was shifting a bit over as well as Di Gregorio was coming. So it didn't look that bad from behind. We did get L'Arbitro Nick because fans were in uproar saying had to be canceled, had to be nullified. So we'll look at this and just say, DeCilio goal, possible offside from L'Arbitro Nick. On this play, DeCilio heads the ball through Di Gregorio's legs. Another Empoli player seemed to be near Di Gregorio in an offside position. Unlike a more routine offside, gaining an advantage, this is a more subjective offside by interfering with play. Two good angles I saw told slightly different versions. One from above, it appeared the opponent was in front, blocking Di Gregorio's vision. This is what he was talking about. Another angle, in line diagonally from DeCilio, showed the player start to move across during and after the ball was headed. The direction the ball travels also matters too here. If the ball was played all the way to the opposite corner, so if it moved beyond that Empoli player, he would have been probably considered off. But he said this would have been an easier decision if the ball had moved that way, because Di Gregorio would have had to go around that player. But the ball going right at Di Gregorio and the player just being close isn't necessarily offside. While there is enough here to give an offside, this is a borderline decision that can go either way since it is so subjective. VAR won't get involved here. To point out another clue, I didn't see any Juve players protesting the decision. Guys, you agree with it? It's a goal? Or do you think it should have been called back?
Hindsight, obviously, we were like, okay, whatever. Would have been 4-0 instead of 4-1. But in the moment, I mean, I probably would have argued it was offside. Like, we've gotten that exact call taken back from us, I think, 2 or 3 times in the last year or two, and they've been very questionable. Very. So even this one, even though it's not very clear, I think it should have been called back at that moment. I didn't get to watch it live, but I definitely would have yelled at the screen for it to get called back. So that's my thought.
Yeah. Trim, quick thoughts on that?
Well, for me, just the sheer disrespect to Lord DeCilio on that back post. It's like, yes, the ball shouldn't have got there or couldn't have got there, but it did, and nobody's picking him up. So I figure our boys are just looking at him like, we'll be fine. It's just DeCilio on the back post. It's probably not going to get the ball. And sure enough, it gets there and heads it in. It's like, again, just, you have how many guys there? You just send one guy, just slip a little bit back. You don't have to be right on DeCilio, but stand in front of him like a foot in front of him.
Cope's kind of there. Like I said, we didn't have anybody on the post, so I don't know necessarily what the hell was going on. But at the same time, it's like I'm surprised it went through that many bodies at the top of the 6. Like, who's attacking the ball as a defender? Like, and it was at an awkward height too, because it like came in like chest to like neck high, like right in here. So at some point I expect somebody amongst our ranks out of all those bodies to not get that ball across there. Like, it really shouldn't. But nonetheless, it did. DeShilio will probably never score again in his lifetime. That's why they awarded the goal, Swarit says. And to be honest, out of respect for J Medical and all the time spent there, he chose not to celebrate. So, yeah, that's a nice little tribute to J Med from DeShilio. We're 1-0 down, and I'm just like, stop the bleeding. Like, let's go. Wake up. Wake up. 17th minute. Potential penalty kick for Empoli, and oh my God. So, from the play, yes, it's a PK. However, handball, and a rightly called handball as well. And that saves us from an abysmal start to a home game against Empoli that was winless in 8, suffering, scoring, like being able to score goals, and we just are so late to get going in this one. Shocking start for Juve, but we get saved on that one because honestly, you get a PK there and score. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know at 2.
Yeah, I think it's done and dusted at that point. And I was gonna just mention, like, to me, is that not the first time that VAR has actually, number one, reviewed a play against us, and then not only that, but brought it back so that we actually got the benefit of the doubt? Because I could swear that we never get reviews like that. Like,
yeah, it's been a while. Like, I could think of going back to last season with the Kean goal that got called back for a play way further back that they ended up calling a foul. But I can't think of too many going this way. So we got this one, and it was the right call. I didn't know what the heck they were looking at when they were looking at just a play. I'm like, that's a clear PK, but I had no idea that was a handball. I couldn't tell on live watch from the angle. But yeah, that saves us. 23rd minute, we do. Even beyond the 23rd, we start to look a little bit better. Kean and Yildiz, especially. There's going to be a lot of talk about Kean and Yildiz, okay? But he's doing well. 23rd minute, finding McKennie in the area, cross in, and Nico Gonzalez, wow, takes a stab at a bike there, but unfortunately way too close to Vasquez. So, stopped and parried away. But let's go. Warning shot fired. Let's put some pressure on. Let's keep it cooking. Cope Miners makes a nice trailing run from deep. Really good play. And again, this is Yildiz. Ball comes in low, hard, perfectly, and he hits McKennie, and it goes wide. That's just, we're thinking, is this the way this game's going to go? Because that thing's going in the back of the net. You could tell he's slotting it. It's going across goal. I don't think Vasquez is going to react that quick enough. And then Weah takes a hell of a rip from range from the right back position. Very active, getting in the attacking zone quite often. Very good rip, just going wide. That's about it though for the first half. We did have a header opportunity from Gatti. He did get a foul on it though because he was very aggressive. That's about it for opportunities for us. At halftime, I was only thinking one thing, and it was the same thing I was thinking at the start of the game, that these guys are going to be pretty congested defensively, and McKennie is not going to be the guy in that role advanced. That's the only thing I was thinking, and it was the same as before the game started. And at first half, from what I saw, again, no real fault to him, but I want somebody a little more technical. We were making up for it with the way Nico was moving, as he definitely got away from that flank and was very active.
Yep.
It helped a bit, but that was the only thing I was really thinking. I was ready to get a playmaker in the heart there and bring on another winger. What were your guys' thoughts at halftime? We're obviously 1-0 down at half. Trim?
Yeah, well, going into the half down 1, I mean, obviously we started to play better towards the end of the half. But what I would say is similar to you. Like, I think of the starting lineup, like, that was my only question, was having Weston in the 10 spot, because I just feel he's better suited. Either he can play in the pivot role, but because we have Luca, Thuram, and Coop, if Motta uses Coop in that position, like, they're 3 strong players that can play pretty much a full 90. So Weston could play in spot duty, but I like him better now. I don't know why. I've liked him better out either on the left or the right defensively. He seems to have found kind of a little niche spot there for him. So, yeah, to your point, I would have liked more of like a playmaker in that spot, preferably Yildiz, because he'd be able to distribute the ball. But yeah, going down 1-0 into the half, you're just thinking, okay, the game's still close, and we avoided, a potential 2-0 scoreline going into the half. So it wasn't over by any means, but I think that was the only thing for me, was just, get someone more of a playmaker in there, try to get one, and then build off of that. But we were getting the chances, obviously, towards the end of that half.
Yeah. Luca, what did you think? Any changes at half that you thought of?
No, personally, I mean, I know we were dog shit going into that half. I mean, we were down by 1 to Empoli, let's be honest. But, the momentum was there. I think ever since we kind of got that PK overturn, we kind of ramped up the pressure. And I know we say this often, and, there's all that bark but no bite. In this case, we were getting close. Like Nico got absolutely robbed. We got multiple chances then. So it was just a question of, putting the ball in the back of the freaking net. I wasn't going to necessarily demand any changes at half. It's not even a Motta style. He probably would have given them a soft conversation. They would have came out even worse in the second half, because that's what we've seen as a pattern. So all the surprise is, with us now, because we know what happened. But personally, no, I would not have changed anything really. I just expected them to wake up a little bit more. If they magically could have, maybe an espresso or something. I don't know.
Well, we get into it second half, and be quite honest, it started off, we found a better level towards the end of the first half. It felt better, like from a drive perspective, an energy perspective. We did carry it into the second half, but I think the key was the Ismaili injury to Empoli. And I don't think it's a coincidence. The second this guy leaves, they pretty much concede. And it was one of Juve's targets, Goglicidze, that gets out-muscled by Kolo Muani. And he ends up slotting short side. Very nice goal. Works hard physically. And Kolo Muani was working physically well before that, but he had a much more difficult battle against Ismaili than he did against Goglicidze. He lines up better physically against Goglicidze than he did Ismaili. So I think that was a key for us, because Empoli, they looked shambles at the back there. It was pretty funny. It just all of a sudden opened up and it clicked for us, and we'll take it. You got to just play the game the way it is. So 1-1, nice goal there. And then literally a couple minutes later, again, Veiga getting advanced from that deeper position from the right back role and takes a rip. This one goes off Kolo Muani. And when things are going your way, it can hit you in the shin and go in the bottom corner. And that's what happened on this one. 2-1. I don't give a shit. I'm taking it, boys.
I'm taking it.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
You got to earn these things too. Now, we got something here, because we go 2-1 and instantly Yildiz is cooking at this point. He played a big part in that goal. That spin move off the side, 1-2 with McKennie, then slotting it over to Veiga, who has the rip. He comes off immediately, and I'm thinking, dude, flashbacks here. We're 1 goal up. This thing's not sealed. This guy's cooking. I thought it was a suspect sub at the time. Did you guys feel the same way?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, especially... Sorry, go ahead.
Trent. Yeah, no, go. You're on it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just because he was dancing, he had the ball at his feet, he was making plays all game, even in the first half when we didn't look as good as we did towards the middle of the second half when we got those 2 goals, right? And I think he put in Vlahovic as the sub for Yildiz, if I'm not mistaken. So even that was a little bit okay. It didn't really make sense. I could see at first I was like, is he gonna try 2 strikers up top? But then obviously he just moved Kolo over to the side, and then it kind of was like, all right, we'll see. But just, it was a little suspect, because you don't want to take out one of your better playmakers.
Yeah, just especially, like you said, the way he started cooking. And honestly, even in the first half, Yildiz was huge for our chance creation and just whatever offensive output we were getting. So it was a little bit strange that it wasn't, just a little strange that we took him off so fast. Motta, of course, spoke to that after, just simply stating that I had already prepared Dusan and he was ready to come in. And yeah, it feels harsh because of how Yildiz was doing, but this performance for Yildiz is the same as anything. This is just normal for him. This is what he does. So trying to kind of acknowledge that, yeah, that was probably a little bit strange and not the right call, but at the same time, I had this guy prepped, ready. We were going to make that move, which is also surprising because you were going to make that move. Like, I don't think Yildiz was the guy I would be taking if you didn't get the 2-1 goal. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's kind of eating away at some deep down feelings I have that I've been saying for a while. Motta and his subs and some of the calls he makes and in-game management, but this one worked out, okay? So we're not going to go down that rabbit hole too much. We're going to keep it, we're going to try and keep it up here today, okay? Yeah. So we'll keep things rolling. 2-1, Yildiz does get subbed. 83rd minute, the Moroccan mutt with the headband, Male, gets sent off. This guy is just a toilet, okay? The Moroccan mutt gets sent off. I couldn't stand this guy. I was ragging on this guy all game. He was an absolute clown show. Happy to see him sent off. I actually think the official missed some on Nico Gonzalez, who was very aggressive and fortunate to not get one yellow and potentially later on in the game maybe sent off during another, because this guy, Nico, was going in. He was getting stuck in yesterday, okay? So I think he was lucky on an early tackle. I believe it was on Colombo, not to get a yellow. Very high challenge, but it was questionable from the official, who has, by the way, way more experience in Serie B than he does Serie A. And the numbers are hilarious because Serie B, he had like almost a 6 yellow per game average, but in Serie A, like 2.8. And in the end of the day, I think there were 3 cards given out and one was a double yellow for red. So there you go. Interesting. But anyways, he gets sent off, and then that's where things really opened up for us, and then we start going. But we did have a moment where Vlahovic, once coming on, you gotta hit that pass to Kolo Muani and send him in stride. Kolo had to kind of dig it out of his feet, and I'm just thinking, my God, man, like, come on. How do you not lead a guy on that play? Anyways, Kolo Muani made a mess of it at the end, and I just remember sitting there watching that saying, this is how you don't kill teams. This is how you don't kill games, when you fuck up opportunities like that should just be natural, like smooth sailing, like gravy. It's a gravy plate. Let's call it for what it is. Okay? Gravy. Routine. You'll appreciate that one, Luca. Okay?
That's a good one.
So it's gravy. It's your bread and butter. Let's go. Anyways, we don't. 89th minute. Holy shit. You talk about setting yourself up to be a donkey.
Oh, this was
wow. Wow, you could drive a truck through those 2 defenders. And hey, fair play, it goes in, but come on, man, that's not the play.
I said this yesterday, and I mean, look, Scango was, of course, the first one to jump on my throat and say, at least he scored. So 100% he scored. Yeah. But I mean, it needs to be said, and I'm glad Bert brought this image up. If he doesn't score this, the entire timeline gets absolutely ripped apart. Let's say it how it is. Like, he would get absolutely destroyed. People would be packing his bags for him because look at that.
I mean, it's low percentage, clearly, right? But yeah, I mean, good on him. Like I saw it live, and I was like, I almost started screaming, "What the hell is he doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it goes in!" And then I started screaming because he actually scored. I was like, Jesus, the 3 guys wide open. You can see, I don't know who it is in the middle with his arm out, like clearly just saying, like, put the ball in the box. And
so would people be mad at Tier 7 or Trez if they would take that chance? No, I would say yes, because it's such a high percentage chance to move it over. You also have say, if you look, they're offside. At this point, actually, no, because Chico's on far side. He isn't. The second one isn't. The only one close is maybe the first guy, which still doesn't look offside. But this is at this moment. This is at this exact frame. He had opportunities before it even got to this point to send one of those 3 through. This is a low percentage thing, but also by the time he strikes, he's at the top of the 18. He still takes a couple more steps in. He's at the top of the 18, but my God, it's still, you're shooting from the top of the 18, or you send 2 teammates in free and clear on goal. This, he could have had some serious egg on his face. In the end, it worked out for him. Hell of a strike. Snaked it in the short side. Nice. We'll leave it at that. But I think it was suspect, and it makes me nervous for, again, moving forward when you're not taking high percentages and gravy plays, bread and butter plays, and putting teams away. So, again, all good. All good. Then you finish off with this ball from Thuram.
Disgusting.
In stride to Chico. Dude, Chico settling it on the run with the thigh. So the first touch with the thigh, keeping it in tight, and then slotting short side. Beautiful goal to finish. This was beautiful, okay? Absolutely beautiful. 4-1. Ends there, lads. And yeah, that's what we needed. That's what we needed. Again, some mixed feelings overall. For me, just quick, I think the Ishmaeli injury really opened things up for us, and we took advantage. I also still can't negate the fact that we started this game off horribly. So I think the scoreline doesn't actually reflect the fact that this was a touch-and-go game. And also, even after the Moroccan mutt got sent off, they actually pinned us back for a bit when we were up 2-1, even down a man, and actually got a couple opportunities. So
they got one really good opportunity.
Yeah, it was a little touch and go for me. It doesn't feel like a 4-1 thrashing. It feels like, hey, you won the game and you scored some goals, but there's still some cleaning up that needs to happen. But there was also positives. There was positives in there we'll take. But my feeling was it's a tale of two halves. A much better second half from Juventus, but really taking advantage of who Empoli lost and whatnot. So I think situations got in our favor for this game, personally. Luca, your thoughts overall in general on this one, real quick.
Look, I'm just gonna agree with what you said. We look at that score line, and for context, I watched the game after it happened, right? I already knew the result, so I was able to watch it, which Bert, you've always said, with no emotion. Once it's done, you can kind of nitpick it a little bit more. Really quickly, it wasn't that great a game. We played rather well. The result was great, but there was so many things that I saw that were we're lucky it was Empoli. We're lucky they stink and they actually missed, and we're lucky that someone important to them got hurt, because usually it's the other way around. Usually it's us. So will I take the 3 points? 120 damn percent. I will take the points, walk away, and I will see them whenever the hell we play them again. But that said, analytically, there is still a lot that that seems weak on our end. So I'm not that content.
Yeah. And then Trim, your thoughts in general.
Yeah, so to kind of keep it short and sweet, this game is a reflection of our season in the sense that we have not been able to put together a full 90. So it's either we start off crap and turn it on towards the end, or go down one early and then have to fight our way back, or we come out swinging, maybe get the first one, and then we go asleep at the wheel and let the other team back in the game, and then either they end up getting one and we draw, or we lose in the case of a Napoli game. So it's basically just sums up our season in a nutshell in the way that we've been playing just overall. Again, 3 points was a must. When we did our little predictions for this the month of February, this was one where I was like, got to be a win, guaranteed win. It didn't go exactly the way I would have liked it to. I wish it was a little bit more comfortable, but we'll take it and we'll move on to Como.
It's exactly right. It's like you said, the good and the bad all kind of comes up in this one particular match. That's why I say it's a tale of two halves. You start off the game not on time. You're losing 50-50s all over the pitch in your house to a winless and 8 Empoli that can't score goals. That's just, it's brutal, right? So you see the struggles, you see the frustration that many of us have had, and then you leak a goal, another frustration. And then, you start to see some of the flashes of what could be with the talent that is actually at your disposal, which I think is actually good, especially at the opposite end of the pitch in the attack. But like I said, there are some good things that happen that give me hope, around Thiago Motta and moving forward if we can kind of get things right, so to speak. And we will touch on that. We're going to quickly go through some player performances because there were some storylines there, and we had a debut at the back, so we'll take a look at all these guys, okay? So we're going to get into that right now. I'll pull up the graphic on the actual ratings. This is where they finished with the match, and we'll just kind of tackle this real quick. Once we reach your personal man of the match, just hit me up, fellas, okay? So we got Di Gregorio at a 6.8. Yeah, no real arguments there. I mean, that's fine. Everybody starts at 6. I'm okay there. Weah at 7.3. I actually really liked his game. I agree to Luca's point earlier. I was thinking the same thing. I think I might be playing him there more often than not, to be 100% honest, because I think even Weston McKennie showed us, no disrespect whatsoever to Savona, who's a young guy that I still think is a gem and has a lot of tools, but it's night and day what McKennie and even Weah now show you that you've been missing in terms of the aggression and support in the attack. I think we might have something there with Weah. I'd like to see him there more often than not. Agreed, fellas? I know Luca was already mentioning that. Trim? You on the same page?
Yeah, so actually, I just wanted to kind of jump in quickly and touch on that. Yeah, I think Weah and McKennie being versatile and being able to play on the flanks in the defensive line, for me, is a big bonus for us because, again, in the Benfica match, Weah got exposed a couple of times. But what I would say personally is that I would rather take a gamble having Weah there on the right side, or let's say a Weston on the right or the left side, rather than Savona, because of what they can do for our build-up offensively. I think the biggest reason why we're noticing a lot of exposure to those two players in particular right now is because our center back pairings are not as strong as they could have been with Bremer healthy, with Cabal as an extra guy there. Like, for me, that's what I think. I think, like, if we had our solid center back pairings there with Bremer and, even Kalulu in, Veiga, we'll see, he'll have more to offer. But I'm just saying, like, I think that makes up for it. And those guys can feel free to take more risks offensively. Whereas Savona, we've said many times on different casts that he just takes too long to distribute the ball. Even running up with the ball, it's almost like he has to second guess himself. So I'd like to see Weah, even Weston, more in those spots, because I feel like they can bring us something offensively.
Luca, anything to touch on with Weah? You were already speaking to probably seeing him there more often than not. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I like what he offers. That said, we still lack in balance. And I think if he's going to be there more often, I very much want to see. I mean, look, Savona played injured, so props to the kid. He pushed through. But now that we have, new signings coming in with, some more fluidity and some flexibility in their game, as well as maybe Kalulu when he comes back, I wouldn't be surprised to see whether it's a Veiga or a Kalulu on one of the flanks, and then having someone like Weah or even McKennie on the other side, which gives you that balance. You have that much more attacking-minded fullback on one side, but then also the more defensive on the other. So that's where I think Motta's going to go. He's going to end up pushing Kalulu wide or even Veiga, whichever it ends up being first. And that will make up for the balance, I believe. So I'm not against Weah. I love what he did offensively. Defensively, though, he is still suspect. Same with McKennie, but that's to be expected. They're not. Yeah. That's not their role. So
yeah. Now I will say this: the thing that made it work a little bit better, like I said, is Nico's freedom. So you can get away with not having that type of attacking prowess that Weah showed on both flanks because Nico actually moved centrally, but Nico had freedom, which I've been screaming for a while, that you don't need both wingers glued to the flanks. So it actually works if you do hang back with one of your fullbacks and one shows that attacking prowess and allows that winger that freedom. So it actually all kind of worked and complemented everything quite nicely. So I did like that. That was a positive that I liked. The freedom for Nico and the support from Weah in attack. Gatti at a 7.4. Thought Gatti was, 7.4. I mean, fine, no issues there. The debut of Veiga. What did everybody think of Veiga's debut? He finishes with 7.3. We did ask this question out there. I do have some of the responses. We'll just take a quick overview here. Some good interceptions and blocks. Loved his passing range, and that he didn't just pass to the guy in front of him. Instead, chose to pass some longer balls to the wingers and midfielders higher up the pitch. Excited to see if he can help our build-up with his distribution. L'Avvocato says, one game, but pleasantly surprised. He seemed composed on the ball, which was great to see. Kai's coming in solid as fuck. Had few days to acclimate to his new environment. Basically came in on the fly, got the nod, and killed it. We might have something. Who knows? Guys, it's Empoli. Relax. Another, not bad. Nothing more to say. Better him than wasting 20 million on Kelly. We'll talk about Lloyd Kelly, but you could see the range here. What did you guys think about Veiga's debut? And everybody in the chat. So, Trim, what did you think of his debut?
So I wasn't really going to put too much stock into his performance just because it is the first game, and I don't really know how much training he's been able to get in with the team. So, but he had to play. Like it was kind of like one of those situations now or never. We have to get him in and get him involved to kind of build up to speed. Early on, within the first, I would say 20 minutes of the game, didn't look great. I mean, missed a few passes. There was one in particular where I know he was coming down the middle and he tried to send, I forget who it was, if it was Nico up top or if it was Yildiz in the middle, and he just airmailed it and it went right to the keeper. But again, it's just one of those things where he's getting a feel for his new teammates. But as the game went along, you could see he kind of settled in, and that's natural for any new player. I think, we just got to see how it goes, let him get comfortable in the system and get acclimated to his new players and new teammates. But I think we'll be pretty surprised with him. I think he's going to do fairly well for the most part. I'm not going to blow smoke up his ass and think he's going to be like the second coming of who knows, but I think we're going to be pretty happy with him overall as the season goes on.
Yeah. Luca, your thoughts?
Well, I'm not going to read too much into it. It's game one. It's Empoli. We only conceded one. We could have conceded more. Am I going to blame that necessarily just on him? No. He was exactly what we needed. And again, I need to see more games from him. More good than bad. But, I wasn't staring at him the entire game. Let's put it that way. It seemed like we just had Kalulu in there, in my opinion. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't excited. I wasn't at any point thinking, shit, there's a new signing straight off the plane. No, he did what was needed. We'll see in 3-4 games where we end up, but more good than bad. So it's a good start.
Yeah. Everybody's kind of mixed feelings around this debut. I'm just going to keep it pretty simple because he came so quick. He came so fast to this team, literally feels like he just showed up and he's in the starting lineup. That's the situation we're in. That's not an easy situation, even for the best of guys. I'm just looking at small little signs. And I liked the small little signs. The start, shaky, sure. But honestly, our team was shaky. Guys were losing 50-50s all over the place. The start was abysmal. And you've got a guy kicking things off that just showed up, feels like he just got off the plane and walked onto the pitch to start a game. Yeah. Probably not ideal. If the rest was a little more solid, it probably would have helped him out. But I like that. I like that the shakiness at the start, even how the team went, it actually corrected through that match. But then he showed a willingness in terms of ball progression and movement that I actually liked. Not taking the easy route all the time. That's just the small sign that I liked from his game. Otherwise, stature-wise, the dude's got some serious size. He was good aerially, which we suck at aerially, which I think he'll help. So I'm just looking at those signs, and I think he's got some traits that can help us. And that's all I'm really going to take out of game 1 versus Empoli, which I think is a tale of two halves anyways. So we'll end it at that. When it comes to Veiga, not a bad one. For his score, 7.3, I have no problems with that. Savona with a 6.7. I'm okay with a 6.7, maybe a little bit more. All I'm going to say about Savona, which I found interesting, was the fact that he's on his off-footed side, but he made those crosses and plays quicker than he does on his strong-footed side. And it pisses me off to no end, because it's like he's finally thinking at the speed he needs to, and it's probably because he's on his off foot. If he applied the same urgency on his strong foot and had early crosses in like he was with his left, because his left, sure, the execution isn't the best because he's on his off foot, but he was making the right plays. And actually, Vlahovic latched onto one of them, sailed it high, but like that's a spot, that's an opportunity from like, what, 15 yards out that came from him, an early cross from his off foot. He needs to apply that when he's on his strong side. That's all I'm going to say about Savona, but a fine performance. Nothing too high, nothing too low. I'm fine with 6.7. Your guys' thoughts? Luca, Trim, jump in.
Fully agree with you. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, the guy was playing injured. So
yeah,
already that he was out there and he didn't, make a clusterfuck of the situation. I give him 6.7. No problems there.
Locatelli, 7.1. No issues there.
No issues, yeah.
Spraying the ball out, was doing great. Cope Miners finishes with an 8 here in this one. I thought he had a really solid game. I think 8's probably pretty high, but he did get a helper on Kolo Muani's first goal with the ball in over the top that he wins the battle for. Guys, I don't think there's anything left to talk about. He's way better from further back in the midfield in this particular setup. There's no doubts about it. We all 100%. Agree.
Yeah.
Right? 100%. Have we touched on your guys' man of the match yet? No?
Nope, we haven't got there yet.
So let's keep it rolling. Nico Gonzalez, 7.8. Like I said, fiery little Argentinian, because, man, he was fortunate there in this game, but I liked what he did. I liked the freedom. 7.8. Yeah, I probably had him at like 7.5. Really strong showing. Mac, I had him lower. I had him around that 6.5 mark. I don't think it was a game to highlight his best attributes. That's just me. I'll leave it at that. You guys agree? Disagree?
No, I agree.
6.5, yeah. Just not, more of a situational problem, not necessarily a Mac problem. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yildiz with a 6.8 here. I disagree.
Yeah.
It's a little low.
Was this Skanga that did this rating? Because, I mean, Yildiz with a 6.8 was, if not our top 3 players in that first and the little amount that he got in the second half.
Yildiz was cooking first half and even second half, especially second half. I wouldn't have even subbed him off at that point. He's got to be minimum 7.7, 7.8 range for me. He's up there. I add Kolo Muani, the only one close to him, like those two far above, around that 7.8 to 8 rating range. Kolo with the brace. I had Kolo giving it to him because he got the first one and winning that battle and sparked everything. But, I mean, Yildiz could easily be, and Yildiz throughout the game constantly could easily be man of the match. Who did you have as your man of the match out of these guys? Trim.
For me, Kolo Muani. I know he was fortunate enough to get the bounce on the second one, but I just feel overall for the consistency throughout the game, I think he was just our best player. And, it's kind of, I don't know if it's fair to say it's not a surprise just because he is one of our newer guys, but I mean, like, for me, again, it's still really early, but I think that he's surprised even me so far in terms of his consistency throughout the first few matches that he's played. So I'm just kind of hoping that he continues, because I said when we got him that it could go either way. I wasn't really super excited about getting him, but I wasn't, super down on him. We need someone up in that spot. So it's just more of, let's just see what he can do. Because, I'm starting to get a little bit of a feeling that maybe he can turn into someone like, not in terms of production wise, but a guy like Marcus Thuram who comes to Serie A, and maybe it does suit his style of play. It's his game more, it opens up things for him, because, in the French league, he was just kind of iffy. Wasn't that great. Mind you, I don't really watch PSG much, but in Germany at Frankfurt, again, he had one good year where he bagged a bunch of goals, and that's why he made that big move to PSG. But let's see. I mean, you never know. It can work out for us, and kind of just go from there. But I think for me, Kolo was my man of the match.
Luca, who was yours?
Gut reaction for me is Yildiz. If I look back at who really impressed me, because again, first half he was the only one really even making any issues for the other team, and he went off in the second half. Just the fact that he was subbed off early, I would maybe go like Nico is like a close second. I think Kolo got lucky on the second goal. I do think he played a good game. Was he the best player on the pitch? I don't think so, but he was good. For me, Yildiz top of the list just because of what he did. He impressed, and people forget he's 19. He's been clocking a shit ton of minutes.
Yeah.
Yildiz for me.
I think I got to say that, like, the reason I gave the edge to Kolo Muani is end product. Like I said, that first goal that actually went in, as great as Yildiz was yesterday, nothing kind of finalized at the end of it. And that's the only reason I give him that edge. But they were both right at the top there for me. Yildiz play for the second goal, where, again, it's a lucky goal. So you strike Kolo Muani for being lucky. Yildiz was a big part of that second one too, because it all starts with him out on the flank before it gets to Veiga that takes that rip, which we're fortunate for. But guys, either way, take either one of them. They were both doing their jobs, and that's what we need to see. Trending in the right direction anyways. Kolo Muani, 3 goals in his first 2 appearances for Juventus. I don't give a shit if one of those is lucky. Sometimes you got to be lucky to be good. So, and you know what? You just being in the right spot. His movement is actually solid. Like when you look at where he's moving to, positionally, his involvement, that's half the battle right there. And yeah, man of the match, Ismaili, for going off injured. That helped us too. Like I said, I can't ignore these subtle little things here, but we're going to try to keep it on the positive and some good things. Like I said, this game took us through the full range of what has been our season, from negatives to positives and the flashes. There are good signs, though, that I hope Motta sticks to. One of them is what happened in the midfield with Cope Miners being further back. We talked about Veiga. We've talked about McKennie being fullbacks that offer freedom to those wingers. Cope Miners being further back, though, then we know in this setup you have a decision to make, as you have Locatelli and Thuram that have been holding it down in those 2 holding spots. If you go this route now, you add him into the mix. Do you stick 4-2-3-1? Do you shift to 4-3-3? But real quick, if he wants to keep it the same, who are your 1A guys out of Cope Miners, Locatelli, Thuram? You got to pick 2. Let's just start there, everybody. Everybody in the chat. Your 2 1A for the pivots.
Damn,
You got your answer ready?
I'll jump in. So if we're just going based off of performances up until this point, and we have to decide based on the season today, I'd go with Luca and Thuram. But for me, if I like just my gut and my heart, what I think would be best for the team overall, I'd actually go Thuram and Coop, regardless of Coop's shortcomings this season so far. Just because I feel like, yes, Luca's our captain at certain points, and he can wear the armband for me throughout the season, I think. I just feel like we could benefit from him coming off of the bench, especially if one of those 2 guys, Thuram or Coop, during games are maybe not struggling, but just, you need a little bit of a boost at certain moments in the game, I feel like Luca could be good off the bench. And I think that Coop has a lot to offer and has a lot more to show us, quite frankly, again, based on his performance this season. So I'd go Coop and Thuram.
All right. Coop and Thuram. Luca.
Shit, this one's tough. I'm going with Luca and Coop. Leadership-wise, I think those two together are probably the top of our tier of our team. And I know we don't have much leadership going on right now, but those two are really up there. I think as a sub, the most potent of the three would be Thuram, and that's also why I make that choice. I think Luca coming in late is not, progressive enough. It's much more defensive. Coop, yeah, he's somewhere in the middle, but I think, just for energy and sub-wise, I think Thuram is the best option, and I think that Luca and Coop are great together. I would say the same about any of the other, other combinations. But from my mindset is who's coming in as the better sub, not who's starting off better. I think they'd all start off pretty decently in their own right. So for me, yeah, it's fair.
First of all, I'm absolutely happy rotating all of them. I think that the answer from Forza Juve is pretty much along my lines. It kind of also depends on matchups, what you're going to see. Cope Miners against a low block does not do us any good being further advanced. Needs to start from further back. So against those low blocks teams, for sure. If I had to pick, though, a 1A option, it's hard to knock any, Cope Miners has been the one behind the 8 ball if you're looking at performances with these guys, but he's been behind the 8 ball at a position that we could see doesn't really make sense. If we had seen him in this position from the get-go moving forward, would we be in the same situation? Would we have the same feelings around his performances, or would it be much more positive, much better? I can't help but think that in a couple of times that we've seen him play there, and we're all like, yeah, he needs to be further back. I can't help but feel we'd have a different perspective. So I kind of lean that Luca and Cope Miners is the 1A, but situationally, Thuram could be the play. And to be honest, this is a good problem to have, and I have no problem rotating the three of them, even if Locatelli is captain or not, because they're passing that thing around like Wanda Cardi anyway. So it is what it is. Okay. Yeah. It is what it is. Now 4-3-3 rather than 4-2-3-1. The shouts continue. Play all three, flatten your midfield out, and just play 4-3-3. Do we scrap this type of setup altogether? I had this to say yesterday. Real short and sweet. It really isn't all that. 4-2-3-1 is a variation of 4-3-3 anyways. You just kind of triangle your midfield with an advanced midfielder. At the end of the day, 4-2-3-1 to 4-3-3 isn't a drastic difference. And however we want to draw it up on paper, the biggest thing that comes down to it is the roles that the players actively take. So if you tell me we need to play a low block 4-3-3, but you hit me with a midfield of Locatelli, Thuram, and Cope Miners, I'm going to tell you that's redundant. Get me an extra playmaker on the pitch. And then your 4-3-3 doesn't really fucking matter, because it'll probably play out like a 4-2-3-1. That's my thoughts, is that it's not so much formation, and I don't really look at what's going on with this group or team or anything as setup. I don't think we're far off when it comes to setup. It's the roles that the players play. Do you guys agree or disagree with my thoughts on that?
No, I'm going to agree with you because, again, you look at what a 4-3-3 is. It's as you say, it really depends on the roles. Some coaches will play a 4-3-3 completely different than others. It's going to also depend on the role of the fullbacks in there, because they're ultimately getting you most of that width on the pitch. So Motta might put on paper a 4-3-3, but then what we get on the field might even still be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-1-2, whatever the hell it is. So ultimately, I don't give a shit. As long as we win, I really don't care what the formation is. People can shout all they want, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. It's like Bert said, it all ends up being about the same. It just depends which mid is more further forward. So,
and now we get into the next part for you, Trim. A lot of people saying Kolo Muani and Vlahovic need to play simultaneously at the same time. Do you agree? And how do you facilitate that? Who slots out?
So for me,
because so far we've done it just by moving Kolo on the wing like we did yesterday.
Yeah, well, so that's what I was going to say. Are people shouting for two strikers up top? Because again, it all ties into, both questions tie into each other in the sense that I would be one of those guys that was more looking at, 4-3-3 and this and that. But now, as you kind of lay it out there, Motta's the kind of guy that changes formation based on the game, how it goes. It's not set on paper. So it's more of like the players that are on the pitch and where they're going to end up and what their assignments and roles are. So can Vlahovic and Kolo Muani play together? Sure, absolutely. But what I would say is if you're going to have them out and out strikers, who are your subs? Because they can't play all game, every game. That's the biggest thing. And I think for me, even when it comes to 4-3-3 formation, 4-2-3-1, whatever. Let's say 4-3-3 as an example. If he decides to play that formation and stick to it and not shift and change players around the field, you lose Conceded because where is he going to play? Is he going to play as a winger? I guess he could. In theory, he could, yes. But what about Yildiz? Same thing. You'd have him up as a winger, right? So I'm starting to kind of change my opinion on this in the sense that I'm becoming okay with the 4-2-3-1 and how he sees and interprets all the roles and the players on the pitch, just about certain matchups and who we're facing that day and who you want out on the field. But to answer your question about Kolo and Dusan on the field at the same time playing together, absolutely, it can work. But again, are they going to play as two out-and-out strikers, or are you going to move Kolo over to the wing? And in situations, he can do that based on the game.
Here's to my point about what I've been saying, where formations don't really matter. Kolo Muani can play anywhere across the top. You line him up on the wing in a 4-2-3-1, guess what? You play Veiga the way he was yesterday, and Kolo Muani has the freedom that Nico did yesterday. There's your two strikers.
And there you go.
That's why formation does, like, at the end of the day, it's what happens on the ball versus what happens off the ball in terms of your shape. It ain't that far off. So I think a lot of it, I'm actually going to agree with Vincenzo G here. It's also reading the match in game for Motta and just now he's got extra options. Kolo Muani's off to a red hot start, but is he the solution? Is he the answer we've been looking for? I still lean towards no in a grand scheme of things, because I've always felt it's been up to Motta in terms of the roles defined for the players. But Kolo Muani, he's showing some chops. He's showing that he is a good, viable option and makes us that little bit more flexible. And this is great and welcomed. And Vlahovic needed a break. I think mentally more than physically. So let's see how we follow this up. Classic words of this season. How do we follow it up? Hey, let's go for the back-to-back. With Como, we've only done back-to-back wins 3 times. Let's go for 2. Let's go for 2. Okay, everybody? Now, we've got Lloyd Kelly coming in. I'm keeping my thing on the news, and I know you guys fire away. Fire away. Lloyd Kelly. Lloyd Braun. Lloyd Braun has joined Juventus. I'm keeping some things, just an eye on the news here. There's a banner that's been put outside the stadium for Danilo from the Curva Sud that was not allowed in the stadium. We'll get more on that. The Fagioli talks still going on. Waiting for Fiorentina to send in that offer, which apparently is going to have obligation. He could be moving. Juve's looking at a Serie B signing from Spezia to keep him there until June, and that is Nicolo Bertola. Again, that's it. We got to get into Lloyd Kelly because the details came out. 3 million loan, 14 million purchase, 5 million in bonuses that are hard to actually obtain. Okay? I asked my buddy Chris Rodriguez, who runs a very, very awesome Newcastle channel, and I just said, give me the lowdown, like, give me your thoughts on Lloyd Kelly. Be honest. This was his summary. He joined this summer. He's barely been at the club, and he hasn't gotten much minutes this season, even though the manager says that he wanted to keep him and that he appreciates him and he likes him. But a lot of the fans don't agree because of the salary he's on, which is $150K a week. So they got frustrated because he's on a higher salary and he's not getting minutes, and they don't think he deserves minutes if the coach isn't giving him minutes, despite the fact the coach is saying he likes him. But then why is he not getting minutes? Regardless, he says, I'm assuming he's going to get that same amount at Juve. We have to wait and see what his salary is. I haven't seen anything on his salary yet. He's talented, but hasn't proven anything. And to be fair, also, probably hasn't gotten enough opportunities to really make anything of it. Kind of sounds like a Fagioli situation. Just saying. He goes, I mean, he's been linked to Turkey, teams in France, and we're at the point where we need help and we need money. So for us to cash in on that money when he came in for free is a no-brainer, because they have to deal with the PSR which is their FFP. They just call it profit and sustainability regulations, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a scoop. That's his rundown. I'm not gonna guys, yeah, it's underwhelming in the grand scheme of things. But when you look at all this crap, it's like we went down how big a list? No. Because, yeah, now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. It is what it is. It's January. I was under the assumption we were going to still end up going to free agency, and I was going to flip out that we didn't just do that in November. You don't go shopping in January for key guys. It's very difficult. The fact that this now turns into an obligation, the fact that Arthur had to be renewed 1 year to give you that extra little bit of annual budget, like assistance to find a move, and now you're going to have to sell also. You still got to sell. Kind of risky that we did it this way, but that's how scrambled we are. And it's just injuries, really. And the fact that I don't know why, the part that bothers me the most, who is it that's responsible for us saying so many goodbyes? Is that in fact Giuntoli, or is it in fact Motta's unwillingness to just use guys? And that's the part that I can't grasp, is because this didn't have to get to this point if you kept Rugani around. And is that Motta? Is that Giuntoli? Like, this is the part that I'm struggling with. But as far as Lloyd Kelly goes, I mean, that's cheap. I know that they're like, 22, that's crazy. Well, $5 million is bonuses that apparently are hard to even obtain. So let's call it for what it is, a $3 million loan with like 14 or 15 on top of it. That's pretty much your Kalulu deal, who was also an outcast. So in the grand scheme of things, you got an outcast price, which is our outcast price for Fagioli, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm just not going to crucify the guy until I freaking see this guy here and come in. But yeah, it's not promising. It isn't. But we need help. And that's the reality. Somebody rather than nobody. Was he the top of the list? Hell no. Hell no. But let's see what he can do. That's where I'm at. Like, let's just see if he could provide some assistance. And before we crucify, let's just see.
I wonder if the obligation being tied to it has anything to do with it, because obviously that means that there's commitment there, right? So I'm wondering if most of the fan base that's like kind of in an uproar about it, like, I get the price and I get the fact that, you know, the guy was free in the summer or whatever, but I just wonder if, let's say there was just a straight loan, that was the deal, how fans would feel about it. Again, just another body, sack of water, as Skanga calls it, right? Like that's what he is. But again, you outlined option A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. You can go all the way down the alphabet. He was, let's say, option Z, and that was the last option. Like we had no other choice. But to your point, it goes for me, and I know you agree, Bert. It goes back more to the situation in the summer with all the players that we had in the back line, and we had options there, and they decided to send all of them away for whatever reason. So kind of got stuck with little to no depth, or zero depth in this case, because now a bunch of guys are getting hurt and we have no other options. So again, don't know much about the player, but let's just see him come in and see what he can do.
That's all we can do. It's like, it is what it is. You shot for higher. It didn't pan out. You're also shooting for higher while not really having any leverage. You know? Walking in looking for a steak and sandwich, and you got enough for that candy bar at the counter. So, is what it is.
That's it.
Is what it is. You know? Let's just see. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to get in the storm the barn. And Luca, any thoughts on Lloyd Kelly?
You guys
Just
covered it all. A lot of
see.
people are a lot of people are pissed for no reason. The guy hasn't even stepped foot on the pitch yet. Can we?
Well, I mean, I get it, because we're all fans, and you look at the sporting. I said this a couple live shows ago. It's just, I don't blame anybody for their thoughts, like their opinions.
Agreed.
Like, I respect them all.
Yeah.
I don't blame anybody that doesn't take the time to look into football finances, because it's boring as fuck and it's a complex disaster. So I don't blame anybody. Fans naturally, immediately, even myself, knowing the situation, look immediately to the sporting side of it and be like, damn it, that's not going to help us, whatever. But like, when you factor in everything else, a lot of what they're doing, it's why I feel like Giuntoli, for me right now, I got a lot of sympathy with so many restrictions and handcuffs and whatnot, and it is not easy. It ain't easy. But there's a lot that feel they have the plan, and they can just walk, boom, boom, boom. Hey, respect to you. It's not an easy spot. But yeah, we look at it from the sporting side, and right now the reality is they're looking at it from a sporting side, but to a smaller priority than the financials. And people will say, then why did you go in for obligation on Lloyd Kelly? Well, it's going to be spread out over to 2029. So it's going to be 15 mil on the purchase. The loan's already going to be handled, and that's probably a big reason why that annual cost of Arthur, spreading them out to cover the loan for this season. That's how tight we are. And then his salary spread out over the 4 years. So his purchase and salary, which I don't expect to be big, hopefully not, that's going to be spread out over the 2029 term for what you're actually going to be cost annually. At the end of the day, yeah, they probably didn't want to get into obligations, but maybe this Fagioli deal is about to go down the wire. You just wait and see. In terms of Cambiaso, well, the news is he's got an agreement in place with Man City. The agreement is, what was it, a 6-year contract, I think? Just trying to find it. 6-year contract for 2030. So contract to 2030 at $6 million a year. He apparently already has agreed upon, according to Nico Skira. My comment is this. How did you... I mean, he made an agreement with them pretty damn fast, considering he wasn't on the market and Juve is his Real Madrid. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say is that's pretty fast.
I do want to touch on that, Bert, because we don't know... First of all, I think, look, the way it works, I mean, we don't know if it's literally Cambiaso answering the phone from City and saying, oh, $6 million, no. His agent is answering the call. His agent knows what the threshold is of what he's looking for. And he's probably saying, this would be acceptable. Now deal with the club, right? So it's more just like saying yes to an interview doesn't mean you're taking the job. You know, I think.
Well, time will tell, because at the end of the
yeah,
day,
you're
it's
right.
the players say. I'm just saying, we heard a lot about refusing, and it's flattering to be considered when he named Juve as his Real Madrid. It's flattering to be considered, but I'm happy. Now all of a sudden I have an agreement. I'm just saying,
there
it
must be
takes
more
two to
to it.
tango. For everyone to shit on just one party anytime that there's negotiations or something like this is involved, I'm just saying it's not all club. It's player too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
Gotta look at the 360, right? Like, you know, it's easy to criticize the club because that's who we cheer for and we're passionate about. But I mean, ultimately, this all goes away if Cambiaso says, like, look, I appreciate it, I'm flattered, but I want to stay at Juve, and that's it. But he didn't say that. He agreed to a pre-contract, right? So,
And like I said, taking into account the finances, which are boring as fuck and nobody likes talking about it, but you still have to chip away. Exor's not helping us, so you're going to have to make some sales. Would you rather sell Cambiaso or would you rather sell Yildiz?
Fuck.
If somebody is on, and hey, don't be surprised if teams come in big for Yildiz.
They will.
They will. Yeah.
They will.
They will this summer.
So my thing for me is, where I will absolutely lose my shit, is if you, based on our numbers, based on where we sit, based on the capital that you could see for these moves, especially Yildiz, if you sold him at like 70, let's say, because there's already rumors circulating around big price tag and people coming in the summer. Look, if you got rid of both of those, absolute stupidity. Based on the numbers, based on where we stand and everything. You can't do that. You will kill your fan base. You will kill us. It has to be one or the other. Because you're also going to be moving Duchamp. He'll stand us 19 something and you'll get capital there. Cambiaso, Yildiz, Fagioli see a lot of capital come in. If you were getting into a situation where it's Cambiaso and Yildiz, yeah, that would take you into the green. 100%. But that is like not looking at the sporting side of the things a little bit. It's like not looking at it at all, in my opinion. I'm just saying, buckle up, everybody. Like, just buckle up. Like, I don't know what the hell's going to play out. It's always sketchy because of what they've been feeding us for years. Okay? I'm just saying. It's sketchy. I'm sketched out. I know you're all sketched out. I don't want to be this guy. Just say it.
You're being that guy right now.
Yeah.
I know. Paulo's letting me know you're buzzkill and laughing, but he's like, I agree though. Cambiaso wants a new project. He has that right as a young player, and to be honest, I want to see Yildiz remain. So, let's see what the future holds. Storm the barn. Let's rock into it. Starting lineup against Como. Will there be rotation with the PSV game on the horizon? I want to wait to see what we actually have, like, as far as availability with certain guys. Like, by the way, for Champions League and PSV, we get to register 3 players. Alberto is looking like he's going to be the one sacrificed. I'll take the hit, okay? It's fine. Get Kolo Muani on the list, Renato Veiga, and then Lloyd Kelly. I want to see what's going on with Cambiaso and his fitness and everything, because honestly, I wouldn't just jump him into the PSV game the way things are going, to be quite honest. So I would probably take the Como game to play him if he can get back in, to try and get him back in the swing of things. I'd probably go with one of Weah or McKennie as the other fullback, to be quite honest. And I would have no problem backing one of those guys against PSV as well. In terms of the backline, you're pretty skinny. Kalulu's not going to be back. It's probably going to be Veiga and Gatti again, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
At keeper, no problem. In the midfield, I'd play Thuram that game. I'd probably play Luca. I don't think you're going to need Cope Miners to start that game. I don't think you're going to have to do that. So he could probably get rested. Mbangula should probably start against Como.
Agreed.
What's that?
It's not a bad shout.
Mbangula should probably start there. I'm actually okay giving Vlahovic the start there. In that one, get him back in the starting lineup. Nico, I'd probably go out there with Nico against Como. And Yildiz he could play playmaker and doesn't need to play a full 90. And I'd probably go that route.
From the start.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have one question. Would you, rather than putting Yildiz to start at the 10, would you put Douglas Luiz in at the 10?
Not quick enough.
We should be controlling and putting him in there. He does have the technical ability to do it, so I'm actually okay with that also. I'm actually okay with it.
Yeah. I know.
He's advanced, because if you're going to have Luca are you playing Luca and Thuram back?
Yeah, so basically your exact lineup as you stated, just rather than giving Yildiz the start, you can have him come off the bench if needed, if things tend to go sideways, with Dougie as the 10.
Would be a great game for Fagioli to get a start, but he'll probably be in Florence.
To Luca's point, he is slow. I get that. But I just feel like we need to utilize all of our players at this point.
Yeah.
With all the games coming up, you've got PSV midweek, then Inter, then PSV again. So for me personally, I don't see him really getting many minutes in any of those 3 games. You might have him spot duty in one of the PSV games, but again, I think if you're going to play him, you're going to play him against Como, because to me, he could have even had, a cameo appearance yesterday. Again, when would it have called for it in the game? Your guess is as good as mine. Again, even with taking Yildiz out at the 65th for Vlahovic, kind of iffy decisions in terms of substitutions. But if there was a game to put Luiz in, I'd put him in that game and at the 10 specifically, because I don't really like him in a pivot role. I find he's too slow.
Yeah, we gotta see, but that's a good point about getting more guys in and just getting them their reps and everything like that. And it's one of the things we've complained about with guys getting outcast, so to speak, and not really understanding it. So we'll see. Sweaty, give Male that Moroccan Motta. There it is. That guy was such a plug. All right. And look at this, Mitch getting a show. Got engaged on Friday. Mitch,
nice.
Congratulations, all right?
Congrats,
congratulations. Mitch. Hey, it's all about the 3 rings. Avoid the 3rd. Engagement ring, wedding ring, suffering. Just avoid that 3rd. It'll all be good. Congratulations on a serious note, man. Very, very happy for you, all right? Nothing but the best. Congratulations to you, too. Forza Juve. Cope Miners can't play as a 10. Motta seems to only want to play Yildiz on the wing and wants a midfielder as the 10. I'd say Luiz is the man for the job. It's like Trim was pointing out to, makes risky passes and is our most techie mid. I think to both of your points, and even a point Forza Juve made earlier on, depends on matchups.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's going to be matchups where his pace will probably affect us, and then there's going to be matches where, like yesterday, actually probably a good matchup for him instead of McKennie, to be quite honest, in that role. Yeah, would have made more sense too. So to all your points, I think you're all right. I think all these things factor into it and go into that. So there we go. Do you guys see Juve getting past PSV? Yes.
Yes.
I guarantee it.
Guarantee it.
10
kids.
Yeah.
Charles Barkley guarantee. I guarantee. Okay.
How many kids?
Mark Messier, baby. Down and out. We're winning.
Jeez. We're going mess game 7, guarantee. Oh, boy.
Messier, Mark Messier.
All right.
Down 3-1. We'll win.
So full disclosure, in our month of February predictions, I had us winning the first leg, drawing the second leg. So getting through. But to answer this question, just to be different, I'm going to say we don't get through.
Luca, we getting through?
Without making any random hockey references about nonsense that you guys have to bring up. Yeah, I think. No, just why you got to bring up Mark Messier? Like who the fuck? The
Moose? The Moose is loose, baby. Don't worry about Mark.
No, I wasn't born, but I'm educated. I'm still Canadian. I still know some sort of sport knowledge. Anyways, we make it through by the skin of our balls.
Easy.
Something.
Let's say Durf. Listen, I am going to go as far to guarantee. And yes, that actually wasn't a guarantee, Skippy. I said, I see no way that we keep him. That wasn't a guarantee. I said, I see no way. I'm so confident that I just can't see him staying that I would put 10 kits on as a wager.
That's true.
I lost the wager. That was not a guarantee.
It's just a really bad wager.
However, this is a guarantee, and yes, I could be completely wrong. And you're absolutely right in saying depends which Juventus shows up. But guys, even I know how it's been as of late. We try to keep this show here today because we need to be a little bit more here and higher up and more positive, but it's hard and it's difficult the way this season has gone, and we all want the same thing, Juve to thrive, succeed, be balling out, etc. But like, I really deep down, I want and I'm hoping for a turnaround and a shift and that we can get things moving in the right way. I've said all along, despite me being more on the pissed off and more cynical side and everything, is that I do believe we're capable of far more than what we have shown this season. And I'm just still going to remain hopeful that something clicks at some point in time. Injuries are really, you're thin at the back, but there's cavalry coming. You've got another good option up top. Your midfield, it looks like you're starting to figure it out. And you've got guys that are clicking. You've got guys in decent rhythm. Let's hope. Let's just hope. Okay? Let's just hope that we can see a turnaround. We need it. So I will throw out that guarantee. And you're absolutely right that I expect to get absolutely bombarded if it doesn't happen. And I won't blame a single one of you. Okay?
Absolutely ready.
Who's your ideal backline after the transfer window closes? I'd say Kalulu is right back. Gatti, Kelly, Cambiaso. That is not mine. We don't even know Lloyd Kelly and haven't even seen him probably other than comp videos. And comp videos are like beer goggles, man. They could turn a 4 into a 8 pretty damn fast. So let's take it easy on the player comp videos. And no, we haven't even seen Kelly play for us. And Cambiaso, I'm going to be quite honest. I need to see this guy getting back into a spot where he doesn't feel like so much of a liability. I'll be flat out honest.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We have to take into account injuries, I guess, right? Because if everybody's back and healthy with what we have, not including Bremer and Cabal, of course, I'm with George, actually. I like George's for Kalulu, Gatti, Veiga, Cambiaso. I think that's what I would go with. Again, injuries notwithstanding, right? But it's nice to have options, especially on the flanks.
I want to see guys on the outside bring what Weah and McKennie do as far as supporting the attack. I'm going to be quite honest. McKennie hasn't done it from the left side, so it's almost turning into this thing where the left side becomes your stabilizing side and right side might be where you push from, especially with the work that Yildiz is able to do. and the load he's able to take on, it's interesting. But Cambiaso, I want to see him in as a mainstay. I don't mind Kalulu on the right. We just only saw it for a brief period because then he had to come in and support on the side. But if in a right now go-to, we've only seen Veiga one game and against Empoli, but man, we need help aerially. Kalulu and Gatti might need a break from each other. George's is pretty good though, but
it's pretty close. But yeah, I know the shouts for Veiga, like because he just started. I don't know.
I'm probably gonna go. That's so hard. Yeah, give me Cambiaso. Give me. I want to see Gatti and Veiga a little bit more before really banking on that. So I'd still say Weah, Gatti, Kalulu, Cambiaso or something, but Veiga could easily make it. Give me a second game with Veiga. Then I'll get back to this one. What do we got? Cambiaso on the right. Gatti, Kalulu, Savona. That's a shout because Cambiaso, we need to get forward and involved and back to his best. Just hasn't been right. But it's tough. It's tough. Let's go. 4-8. The beer goggles comment. That one got Paulo there. That one got Paulo. I'll be watching this later, so pre-filling my Storm the Barn. All right, Sal. Moise Kean's run of form makes me wonder what prevented him from being that at Juve. Is it just this, or do we have trouble getting the best from our guys? That goal, first of all, have we ever seen anything remotely close to that from Moise Kean at Juve?
My words.
This last goal he scored?
No, he would have hurt himself. That was
he would have stuffed his toe.
That very clear. If that was us last year, he would have, like, his boot would have fallen off and he would have torn easily even one or two different ligaments. Because
hey, fair play. His goal was ridiculous. That goal was ridiculous. Fair play.
Yeah,
I think like
it's mental.
His own words kind of summed it up. He was he entered depression. Why was he depressed? I don't know. Was it personal stuff? Was it business-wise? Was it sporting? Did it come from something Juve could have helped prevent? Like, I don't know. But I still stand firm. Like, change of scenery goes a long way. And it's also why I have sympathies for not just the current management, but also the current players. Because of the last few years that have been so rough and the guys that have actually been around for it, it can be a hard thing to break through and then be a part of that turn and that upside, even if you want it more than anything. So I kind of sympathize with management in thinking that, hey, we need fresh slate, like we need to get new bodies and just kind of rejuvenate the mental anguish that might have taken its toll on guys. Like Vlahovic, I wouldn't doubt him doing very well at his next club.
Agree.
You know, it's a tough spot. So for Moise, I think it's mental. And I think 100%. He said it 100%. And I don't think there's much more to that. New environment, a less aggressive expectation that's placed on you in a new environment. Hey, yeah, but that touch, that goal, I've never seen anything close to that. Never seen anything close.
Surprisingly enough, no one's complaining about us selling him because he was dog shit last year.
Well, that was the thing, right? Is that the only argument was keeping another striker because it was only Milik and Vlahovic, and that was my thing. You can say goodbye to Kean, but who comes in? Because somebody has to. Joe Tellerico, we got time to just machine gun a couple quick ones. Results aside, do you think Motta ball looks any better than how we looked last year under Max? To me, it's been hit or miss. When they don't focus on just moving the ball side to side, it does. Difference in play last year to this year. What do you see? What do you like? Does it overall feel just slightly different but the same?
No, when it's on, if we're comparing, let's say, prime Max, like when it was on, to, well, prime Max last year, obviously this is the comparison we're making, to Motta this year when we're on, I'm taking this year 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Now, is that because of the style of play, the ideas, the direction? Call it what you want. I'm enjoying this much more. That's as simple as it gets. I don't. It is a hit or miss. We all know that. But when it is a hit, if we're doing hit for hit, I'm going with Motta. That's for sure.
When it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's better than what it was last year at its best. And that's just, it's that simple. You want to see your team on the ball. You want to see your team playing with the ball. You want to see your team controlling games. The fact of the matter, the reason it feels similar at times to last year is because we still, for the most part this season, have lacked that sting and that bite. And that's the reality of it. So it's different. One team that didn't want to play with the ball, one team that wants to play with the ball. But ultimately, the balance has lacked on both sides. Last year's side and this year's side. So hopefully we start moving in the right direction and get it going, because I agree, when it's good, it's great. It's exciting, it's fun, but we got to see the players start having some more fun too. And if there's one positive out of yesterday, is they look to be having fun. The Sellies, the guys going together, and even the newcomer Kolo Muani, even Veiga with the Selly on one of the goals there with the guys. Like, it's good to see. Like, let's get some good vibes rolling through, because it's a tough spot. It's tough for teams when you're going in slumps to break out of it, and I've been a part of that, and it fucking sucks. So let's see. A bit of a hot take. Oh, we love those. I think Thuram would make a decent right back. He's quick, can carry the ball forward, decent passer, good at tackling, and wins duels. For me, it's the profile and could be a solution. No disrespect to you whatsoever. I just don't see it.
So why did you say that? Was like you were fully gonna rip him a new one, but you didn't.
I just don't see it like at all.
I'm with you. Just because he has the qualities, like trait wise, I don't think it equates to him doing well there. I don't see it at all either.
I don't personally see it. The follow up is that his father also played right back for CS and center back, and maybe it's in his genes and Bianconero blood. Maybe, just maybe. You might be right. I personally haven't looked at this guy and thought right back.
I could maybe see it in a pinch if needed, but I don't know if it'd be
more center back than right back, actually.
I think it's because of the at times, and even as good as he's been, the defensive awareness isn't always on point. Definitely not to the genes of his father. I'm happy with him where he's at in the middle of the pitch. It's an interesting take, an interesting shout. Like, I've just never personally thought of that or looked at it. So interesting. Who else was nervous after 2-1? Before that, we gained momentum. Yil was on fire, in my opinion. It was wrong sub at wrong time, killed momentum, and allowed them back in the game. You know what? A lot of people, we talked about it earlier about the sub. We had question marks. Some, again, we're trying to keep the show up here, and a lot were saying that, like, this just shows me the lack of in-game management that Motta still has to fight through. So some, Vincenzo, to your question, are still holding that against him. And like I said, I don't think anybody can deny, but there are some comments in the reaction video that I put out there that some were saying, we dominated this game. What are you talking about? We could have had 7, 8 goals, whatever. And I'm like, I never felt like we dominated until certain moments. Ishmaeli leaving, us going 2-1, and then the red card. When the red card came, we really took over and killed the game. But I said I never at any point felt we were absolutely dominating them. I just didn't. So again, to each their own. Everybody looks at these games and breaks them down differently, but in-game management will continuously be something Motta is looked at for. What's the best nickname a Juve player has ever had, and what's the worst? Ooh. I always loved Mr. No Good, Mandzukic, because he always just said no good, and waved his finger, no good. So they called him Mr. No Good. I always loved that. I was like, man, that is awesome. Pinturicchio, the artist for Del Piero. Maestro for Pirlo. I'm trying to think of bad ones. Who had bad ones?
There weren't really any bad ones. They all fit and they all had like meaning. So
Baggio, Divine Corino, the Divine Ponytail.
Yeah, that one's class. Yeah.
There's no bad ones.
I'm trying to think of the worst ones. The Pitbull Davids.
I mean, we gave a pretty shitty one to Rabiot, so maybe that takes the cake. Especially now that Trim's here, we can bring that up again, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's my boy now. I brought him up.
The Czech Fury for Nedved was badass. Pipita is meh. George saying Pipita is meh.
Yeah, but that came before Juve.
Yeah.
No?
Atomic Ant, great show.
Dybala. Atomic Ant.
Love it.
King Kong. You know what? RoboCop.
RoboCop was pretty freaking bad.
Yeah, that is kind of cheesy.
It was the artwork was even worse.
Oh, that art was terrible. Apache was pretty sweet for Tetris.
Apache was freaking crazy, if you ask me.
But RoboCop isn't bad. The artwork is bad, but it's, I don't know.
It's corny, but again, I still think it depends on the players. Some of them were so bad that we gave them names, and you're just like, why do we give this guy a nickname? Just garbage.
RoboCop might be the one.
I think so.
I think it's up there, yeah.
Yeah, that might be the one. I'm trying to think of some bad ones.
Another
Lord Berna was not actually nicknamed Lord Berna.
That was not his nickname. It's like saying Lord DiCilio. It's just because the stupid timeline on Twitter got way too out of its like zone. And
yeah, I blame Twitter for that. But another shout out for a good one, Il Principino, Marquisio.
Oh yeah, the Prince.
Yeah,
come on.
There's too many good ones.
Yeah, too many good ones for sure.
Maybe Uncle Pat sucks forever.
Yeah, but that came from Man U, no? Like that was his name before, so I don't know.
And it changed to Zio Pat when he came to Juve, right?
Yeah, it just seems creepy when you think about it because it's
Do you have a go-to karaoke song? Billy Idol, Rebel Yell. And Regulators by Nate Dogg and Warren G.
It's funny that like this comes up for you, Berto, because you're just like mentioning this the other day. But
we literally just talked about Club World Cup coming up, and I said, guys, I don't care where we are, but we got to have like a karaoke session at some point while we're in DC and Philly, because I love karaoke. Everybody knows. Get a couple beverages in Alberto, and yeah.
Oh.
But Billy Idol, Rebel Yell kicks things off all the time, and then depending on the crowd, Nate Dogg and Warren G, Regulate.
Amazing. That's funny.
Amazing. What's your go-to, boys?
I don't do karaoke.
You have to pick one.
I've never done it, so I'm actually like struggling to think.
In our team, every newcomer, when we go out and we have beverages set, every rookie has to get up at the karaoke bar and has to sing a song. So it is your initiation. What song do you choose? You have to do it. It's initiation. What would you pick?
Jeez.
God damn, this is a tough one on the spot. Like I'm trying to think, what do I know by heart?
There you go.
Yeah,
karaoke
I'm trying to think
Philly. Let's go.
Man,
Master of Puppets. Whew.
No way.
Master.
That's insane.
I mean, I could probably rip that off just because I've heard it so many times and I listen to it.
Don't stop believing. Oh yeah, come on. Last call for alcohol.
With
Trimmy stepping up for Don't Stop Believing.
I'll make you guys have a good laugh because you guys were ripping me for my Spotify.
No.
I'm telling you, I think it would be a Jonas Brothers song just because I've been listening to it like so much. And I know it could be sad, whatever. I don't care, but that's probably would be a go-to. I just ripped something by the
Oh, look at that. Paolo loves the karaoke too. That's great.
You know,
That's
I
great.
gotta give it to you, Trim. You somehow find a way to dig your hole deeper and deeper.
Hey,
every time
we're all gonna go in a hole sooner or later, my friend.
I'll tell you a good song for karaoke that people appreciate when you get up there and do. Bloodhound Gang, Bad Touch. They love that one. That is just sweat, baby, sweat, baby. Sex is Texas. Okay, relax.
Okay,
you guys, Philly though. I'll apologize now because that's coming. Okay, it's happening. It's happening. All right, karaoke. But you guys, good vibes, good fun. I love questions like that take us out of the football sometimes, just for even a brief moment, okay, to just enjoy things. Hey, it's a victory. Was it perfect? No. But not being perfect is fine because it means you still got things to work at, and we should never feel like things are perfect, even if we were where we wanted to be at this point this season. Keep working, keep doing the good things that we're doing, and try to clean up the things that not so much are going the way we need to. All right, Como is on deck. That's going to be Friday. I'm going to work to be doing the watch along. All right, I'd love to. And then we're going to get into Champions League. As far as Como goes, we know the drill. That's a game you got to win. We got to follow it up and get that one as the back-to-back. And then we'll look at PSV. One game at a time, everybody. 4-1 win, bunch of goals. Yildiz was cooking. Ride that wave into Como. Chat, you guys are the best. Don't forget to drop a like, all right, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Everybody that's tuning in on your audio outlets, what the hell are you waiting for? Get over to YouTube. I also want to remind everybody that we are going to have the next giveaway set up very, very soon in the coming days. All right. And it is partnered with our friends at Display Pro. All right. So you're going to get a kit and a display. You might even get a couple of each. All right. So stay tuned. As always, Trim, Luca, absolute pleasure, you guys. Luca, I'm still waiting for what song you would pick, but that's okay. We'll talk about it next time. And I might even put you on the spot for not picking, and you might have to sing it live on air. Stay tuned for that one, everybody. As always, fino alla fine, forza Juventus.
I'm on fire.
Ciao tutti. Take care, everybody.